Hey Warriors football fans, Scott Warras with another weekly preview, a game preview with the head coach Eric Treske. And as this season comes down the home stretch, it's November now. The games get more and more important. That's just the way you want it, Coach. Just
exactly
the way you want
what
it.
You hope for, yep.
St. Norbert is here on Saturday at 1 o'clock at historic Robbie Stadium. There's a lot on the line, and we will get to that. But this game isn't as big as it is if you guys don't take care of business last Saturday at Concordia, Chicago. 49-14, you jump out 42-0, and obviously you never looked back. Had to be pretty satisfying to get out there and kind of put a foot on the throat and don't let up. Put them away.
Yeah, no, it was good. One thing about Concordia, Chicago, they're an explosive offense. They can make big plays. So the hope was to come out strong and to get them really feeling the weight of their season. I think they've had some ups and downs throughout the season, and if you can get ahead, you get them to play a little bit less inspired football, and that's what we were able to do. Our guys executed both sides of the ball, specials. It was a fun day.
Yeah, and you can take that bus ride back and know you kind of checked all three boxes.
Yep.
That's going to be pretty rewarding. A lot of guys had big games, obviously. Let's talk about the way your passing game and Bryce Barbian accounted for 6 touchdowns, 5 through the air. It was a really special day for him.
He was dialed in.
Yeah.
I think he went 20 of 26.
Yep.
2 of them were throwaways, wise ones as well. So I mean, he was seeing the game really well. I'd say the last 6.5, 7 quarters, like Bryce has had command of everything that we're asking him to do, and you can even see it in practice now. Like he's settling into the offense and what he's seeing in front of him. So I'm excited for him because I know how much work. People don't necessarily realize, like, on top of everything we do as a team, those quarterbacks, they meet with me every single day, probably more than they like to make sure that they're ready to roll. And so for him to have that confidence from that preparation was fun to see.
And as much as we can spend time talking about the aerial attack, we got to talk about the fact that your quarterback took a 63-yarder to the house and now owns the single longest run from scrimmage for the team this year, which I talked to him earlier this week, and he said, I've reminded my freshman running backs that I now have the longest run from scrimmage. What did you see on that play and how it unfolded? And it was quite a sight from the sidelines.
It was quite a sight. So, I mean, our offensive line has been playing well. They did a great job fitting, what we would define as the box between the tackles. But they were doing some things that we felt like maybe would lend itself to a quarterback read. And it's exactly what happened. The end chased hard. Bryce got to the edge. Our quarterback read run game can become still a throw, almost like a modern triple option. So I've seen this movie. I've seen Bryce out on the edge, and usually it's Bryce on the edge and rip it. I saw him pump fake. I'm like, okay, here comes the slide. Like typically Bryce is going to slide, and there was nobody in the alley, and he's like, all right, I'm going. And yeah, we got to see him sprint for 60, which is the first time I think I may have seen him do that ever. I asked him, I said, is this the longest run you've ever had in your life? He goes, yes, I've never had a run like that, even in youth football or anything. So it was fun to see, big grin on his face. The team was excited. Yeah, good moment for sure.
Top speed was? Did you clock him?
Did not clock him. Too fast to count.
That's
too
true.
Fast. Yeah.
That's good. By virtue of a blowout, and again, 49-14 is the final, but you're up 42-0. At one point, you allowed you allowed a lot of those starters to get a little extra rest coming into this week, and just as importantly, maybe more importantly, you allowed a lot of younger guys, other guys who wouldn't maybe necessarily see as many reps, get big-time opportunities there third quarter and certainly fourth quarter.
Yeah, that was exciting to see. And we have quite a few guys on both sides of the ball that they're right on the edge of being in that starting rotation, and you want to try. It's really difficult because if the guy ahead of them, hasn't given up that spot, isn't making mistakes, it's hard to say, hey, you've lost trust. But at the same time, they're working super hard all throughout the week, and you want to give them opportunities. So, you look at a guy like Bennett Reeder, you look at a guy like Tywin McKinney on the offense, Brendan Cruz on the offensive line, those guys, they're right there knocking at the door. And, on the defensive side of things, you could say the same. We have our freshman linebackers are unbelievable. They just happen to be behind some all-conference kids, and so to see, Noah Ross and Diego and some of these other guys make plays, it's pretty cool.
Well, let's get to the Warrior of the Week, because you already mentioned his name, and we'll give him a little more pub, but the Warrior of the Week as deemed by the coaching
Yeah,
staff.
Tywin McKinney. One thing, Tywin came into the fall. He was kind of the presumed front runner. He had a really good spring, had played well early in camp, and he got hurt. And that kind of opened a door at the running back position. Seth Moeller had done a nice job there, and then our young guys, as we've talked about, started to gain more reps. And so it's like this unfortunate thing where, man, you're doing a great job. You can't perform, right? You're just not physically able to, and now somebody does a great job in your stead, and so you lose those opportunities. It would be super easy to get down on yourself, get frustrated, to cause division. There's that temptation, and I'm proud of Tywin. He's really grown these last 2 years with us, and he resisted that urge, and he's been practicing super hard. He's been a special teams guy that's made some plays there, and we kept telling him, like, there will be a time you're going to get your carries, you're going to get to show you what you can do, and he really did a great job on Saturday. I think he had over 100 yards and ran physically with good vision. Yeah, so that was fun.
No, it was a great game for him. And you can see in some of the home games where he's had opportunities, maybe late or whatever, but you can see the potential and what he brings.
Oh, yeah.
And in some ways, a little different than what Carson or what Liam bring. You have three guys that are somewhat unique in their running styles.
Yeah, they're all very distinct. Yep.
Yeah. A couple things. Now, 3-0 on the road in conference, which is a stat that we deserve to spend just a moment on a little bit, because winning on the road is hard. Winning on the road in league is even harder. And if you want to win a championship one day, you're going to have to win road games. You guys have done a really good job of that so far.
It's been fun to see some maturation of our program. I look back, my first full season, I know we had the COVID season, but the first full season we had together, we were humbled by our opponent this week quite a bit with St. Norbert. And had an opportunity then to really learn and rally and grow, and the team did a great job. And so I think we rattled off 3 straight, and we walked right into Concordia River Forest and felt like we had a good matchup that week, and we didn't perform, and we didn't win. And winning is hard. Like, winning is hard, period. Winning on the road is even harder. It takes a lot of maturity. And to see us take that step, man, it's just been fun. Because to me, it's a marker of the commitment of the seniors. Those guys that were there in the lowest, right, were committed to working to make things better, and now they're getting a chance to see the fruit of that labor. It's pretty cool.
And you're winning these last 2 weeks are great examples. You're winning in different ways. You go to Benedictine, and it's a low possession type game, and you win 10-7. You make a big play late to clinch it. And you go to Chicago and you hang 42 on, by the break, and you win in blowout fashion, putting up a lot of points and a lot of yards. What have you learned about the team in the last 2 weeks in 2 very different games against 2 very different opponents, both wins? What have you learned?
So I think we're a team that's resilient, that knows how to respond to the situation at hand. I recall being on the sideline against Benedictine, and it was, listen, like, this is the flow of this game is going to be what you're experiencing right now. They're going to try to ground and pound, 3 in a cloud of dust, right? Keep the ball away from us on offense and force us to be efficient. So when we get our shots, we have to adjust. We have to do a better job of taking one play at a time. And we did in those key moments. We already hashed that out. But this game, we knew that the key was starting fast. That's one thing to say. It's much harder to do, especially on the road.
Yeah, we talked about that a week ago at this time about how you'd love to get a fast start. That was a little bit of an issue so far up to that point this year.
Yeah, no doubt. Yep. And so we were able to make that happen. I think it just speaks to the fact that our guys are able to weather any storm, any type of flow.
I imagine as you talk to your guys now in the week for preparation of St. Norbert, who is tied with the Warriors in the conference standings, both at 4-1, sitting a game back of Aurora. I imagine, considering what's on the line and moving forward with only 2 games after this, and how last year ended up there, I imagine you don't really have to go deep into your motivational bag of tricks and play different cards and whatnot. I imagine that's kind of taken care of itself.
No, this one's been circled on the calendar for a long time. We had a meeting yesterday. There's nothing I have to say to get us motivated. We've had an incredible week of practice. I mean, really, it's going to come down to, are we mentally and emotionally ready to play for 4 straight quarters, right? St. Norbert's is a great program, good coaching staff. They're going to come down ready to play. We're going to get, several of their best punches, and are we going to be ready to duck and dodge and fight back? And by all accounts, the way we're preparing, I feel that's going to be the case, and I'm just excited to see it on Saturday.
Can you give us an X factor? Maybe it's a player, maybe it's a statistic, a sneaky statistic that we should follow, something off the beaten path, an X factor for the matchup.
I guess, what team is able to create big plays?
Big
I'll
plays,
just leave
okay.
it at that without
Sure.
getting too much of the schematics.
No,
but
don't do that.
yeah, I think both teams really thrive. The heartbeat of Norbert's and the heartbeat, I think, of the Warrior team, and we said this all year, it's defensive football. It's really good defense that sets up your offense. And it's going to be so I don't see it being a game where you see a lot of just methodical chunk drives. It's going to require a big play, something busted that gets you 20, 30, that flips the field and now changes things. So that's how I see that playing out. Time will tell. So that'll probably be the key stat of the game.
Just generally speaking, how do you define big play? 20 plus, 15 plus?
Yeah, I'd say you're talking 20 plus, especially in the pass game,
Right.
and maybe 10 plus in the running game.
Okay.
But really the 20 plus type plays. Yeah.
All right, so something to watch. All right, kickoff, 1 o'clock, Robbie Stadium. It's Military Appreciation Day, we should mention as well, as the Warriors try to beat the Green Knights for the first time. This will be the 4th time they've ever met, and stay one back of Aurora and continue to vie for a possible 11th game this season. We'll get into that in the weeks to come. All right, Coach, before we let you go, in the time-honored tradition of these here conversations, we like to play 5 questions. Don't overthink it. Number 1, it's the Halloween candy you hated the most when it showed up in your bucket every October.
Halloween candy.
The one you throw away or trade with your siblings, that one.
Yeah. Not a big candy corn guy.
That's like everybody's. You're right. No,
It's okay,
it's
but
a popular bad
really,
one.
you never get candy corn any other time of the
that's
year.
true.
So what are we doing here? Yeah, I would say that or the gummies.
Okay.
Not a big gummy guy.
Is it pronounced syrup or syrup? What do you put on your pancakes and waffles? You pour
I say syrup.
syrup.
Yeah.
Is a hot dog a sandwich?
If it is,
Why is it?
if
It's meat between 2 pieces of bread. Is a hot dog a sandwich?
I'll say yes by definition, but then you're getting into some territory. Gyros, tacos, what's bread? I don't know. We could really go down a road here. So, good question.
We'll follow up next week with
Yeah,
with
that's
another
worth
one
it.
of
That's
those.
a whole other show.
State Fair, Wisconsin State Fair, or Summerfest?
Man. So it's funny. I worked at Summerfest for years. I used to go all the time, and these last few years I haven't gone once, and I've been to State Fair. I never used to go to State Fair, so maybe it's if you're getting older, State Fair's your deal. You want to try the different foods. You
Or
get
the
younger.
family thing, maybe.
That's
is you
probably
take
what
the
it
kids.
is. Yeah, they're both great events. So if you haven't been to Milwaukee in the summer, I would encourage you to get a chance to check out at least one of them. But yeah, I'll go with the throwback. I'll go with the Summerfest. Get a good concert in.
All right, so we did get you. The most enjoyable post-game meal after a big victory?
That we eat as a team, or that I eat at home?
When you get home. When you get home.
Anything my wife would cook. She's an amazing cook. She is. I'm not just gassing her up. She's really good. So I'd say anything there. I love Latin American food.
Okay.
So anything, Mexican food, Peruvian food, that's my jam. Yeah.
I have to say, I think, and this speaks to the quality of the husband that you are, I think you've given a shout out to your wife in every one of our conversations all season long.
She is my
best
friend.
I think in some way, shape, or form, you've worked her into these conversations, which tells you the kind of husband you are.
She's amazing.
That is
She's
great.
amazing. We had Miko, our kicker, comes on to the bus last week. He's rocking a hat. It wasn't a red one. It was a black one, and it said, "Outkicked my coverage." And I said, I need a hat like that because I have outkicked my coverage with my wife. She is amazing. So thankful for her.
They got to have T-shirts that say that too.
I bet you
It
they
sounds
do.
like there's a shirt.
Yeah,
like
I'm not
that.
really a hat guy, but yeah.
That's fair. And the fact that your kicker is wearing the hat
Yeah.
is great. Okay, now the bonus question, and all year long our bonus question has been tied to 25 years of Warriors football, so kind of a big picture thing. And I'm curious, what have you found in your Warriors playing career, coaching career, the whole span of it all? What have you found to be the most important advancement in the game? Maybe technologically, maybe a rule, but when you think back, to those early days as a Warrior player, now you're a coach, the game has evolved across the country.
Yep.
What is your favorite one or the most impactful one, do you think?
I'll speak to our program. So I came into our program in the very early stages. Amazing coaches, but we were still trying to build our foundation at the time. So one aspect I think that we were patchworking or doing the best we could at the moment was our strength conditioning.
Oh, sure.
To be honest, everything you're seeing our guys do on Saturday right now is a product of what they did in January all the way through. So I'm a big believer. When I got hired, I was like, okay, if we're going to change our results, right? I really believe in the culture and what WLC is all about. It's faith first, Jesus at the center, and that's not going to change. But to perform better, we had to change how we trained in the offseason, the expectations and the way in which we trained, and we had to change how we recruited. And that's been the biggest change, the biggest transformation. And it's a credit to Coach Brooks. Eric Brooks we have a full-time strength coach now for the last 2 seasons, and he interned with us prior to that. Matt Zeitler was a big part of that. So I don't know if, Matt, you watch these, but thank you for all the work that you did to help lay this foundation too. Like, if you don't train the right way, when nobody watches, you're not going to perform the way you want to when everybody's watching. And that's something our guys have embraced, and we couldn't do it without that staff. That's the biggest change.
Yeah, it's funny you bring that up because just earlier this week, I was with an alum back on campus. And the last time he was here, or when he was a student here, the weight room, was the fitness center, what is now the fitness center.
Yep.
And I took him downstairs and said, well, do you remember the parking level? Well, that entire parking level is now the weight room. That doesn't even give it justice.
No, it's Sports Performance Center.
Thank you, yes.
35 yards of turf, 14 racks, every piece of equipment you could ever want, laser timers, they're doing all of it.
Yeah.
It has gone literally light years ahead of where it was. When I was here in 14, want to share the conference title, strength conditioning was one of my roles. And I loved it because we had guys that were gritty and embraced it. But we were down that same parking garage when it was a parking garage. And I said, hey, we're going down the dungeon and we're going to work and we're going to run and we're going to do what we need to do. And so, to see the commitment, this is just a huge thank you to President Johnson and Coach Noon and everybody. They're committed to making sure that Warrior Athletics gives you everything you need to better the gifts that God already gave you. And you're seeing the fruit of it. Our teams are improving now. These last few years, it's not a secret. It's not a surprise that you're seeing soccer's make it to the postseason. Football's been able to improve. Basketball's been dynamic on both sides. All the sports are elevating, and that's a huge reason why.
And that's a massive advancement. That is a great answer. Okay, Warriors host St. Norbert Saturday, 1 o'clock. It'll be at Robbie Stadium. We'll have a broadcast for you, of course, at WLCsports.com if you can't be there, but we want you to be there as Coach Treske tries to knock off the Green Knights, him and his crew. Best of skill.
Thank you.
Thanks for watching, everybody.